Hello, YouTubers. This is Brian with my buddy Keith here.
What's up?
We're at Less Magic, More Gathering. Of course, you know who we are. We are here for edition. Is it
11?
It's 11. I thought that's what I wrote down. I couldn't remember. Volume 11 for our random card deck tech. And last week, our random card was what do you see on the screen? Is Prepare to Fight. Sort of a tough one, maybe not so much, because it's just an instant, so you got to work around that. What would work best? I ran with this one on my own. I even whined to Keith about telling him, hey, don't mess with me. Don't mess with me. I want to
do it all by myself. I want to do it all by myself.
He's mocking me. It's not funny, but it's my normal daily routine with that guy. Anywho, so I put this bad boy together, and I kind of liked it. I think it's so far played pretty well. I mean, I can't say I've won every game, but I've got efficient play out of it, which is what I like when I get this game going. So, but it's on the screen, and let's see here. What am I going to start with? Let's just go with this one first of all. Let's start it out. We already said what it was. Prepare to Fight as a 2-drop instant card. Untap target creature. It gets a +2/+2 and gains lifelink until end of turn. So I decided what I need to do is find ways to protect myself, obviously on the defensive end, for that matter, because chances are if something's going to happen to your creature, it's while you're defending, and that's what you're going to need to do with your creature. So obviously 4 copies of this as the first half of that, and then when it hits the graveyard, your Aftermath spell, which is pretty much an expensive prey pawn. We kind of talked about that last time too. It's 4-drop. Target creature you control fights target creature and opponent controls. I didn't really want to focus on trying to use that as something in this deck, because that means I'd have to start really relying on the graveyard, and I just didn't want to do that. So, but it did come into play a few times in some of the scenarios that I played, whether it be just running through some cards on tapped out or even a few games. But it's there if you need it. That's the way I look at it. Something might come up, and you'll see why it could be useful with some of the creatures that come into play with this. So 4 copies of the card.
If they would have made that an instant speed prey upon fight side, that would have probably been worth 4, but
yeah, it's very expensive. It's pretty bad. I'm not sure, but the Prepare is excellent. It's very good, because there's another card that I have in this deck that I put in some other decks that I like, so I was glad to see that because I could use that. So we'll go into I guess we'll do the creatures just to kind of get an idea of what we're going with. So we'll start here at the bottom and go up. So I went with a pretty simple card, because it's part of the mana curve and it hasn't been used yet. So Frilled Sandwalla, it's a 1-drop, 1/1 lizard, and you can pay a forest and a 1 and one other, which is 2 technically. And Frilled Sandwalla gets a +2/+2 until end of turn. Activate this ability only once each turn. Since I didn't pay attention to that when we had a game once, I was like, can I play that multiple times? You're like, keep reading the card, idiot. I'm like, oh yeah, my bad. So I 4-copied that one, and I know it's not very strong, not aggressive, but you know, hey, if you get it out early by turn 2, if they don't have any creatures, you're shooting at them for 3, so you can't argue that. You know, sometimes you don't have somebody that's got creatures by turn 2.
And you can also pump that up to block too.
Yes, you can pump it up to block if it hasn't swung, so there's also options for that. But it's, like I said, it's early creature for the mana curve, and that's why I went with that guy. And some of the other cards that'll be coming up will show what'll benefit him being pumped as a blocker, plus other things. And so moving on to the next one, it's a beneficial card most people put in their decks these days, or have been. It's your good old Mana Dork, Channeler Initiate, 2-drop. Whenever Channel Initiate enters battlefield, put 3 -1 counters on it, and you can tap it for remove a -1 counter to add a mana of to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. And then you obviously remove those counters, which will eventually get him to a 3/4 if it's all said and done, if he stays on the field long enough. That helps get some of these spells going too. Those are here creatures or spells. So I went with 3 copies of Channeler Initiate. And this guy also benefits the defense. Trueheart Duelist, a 2-drop, 2/2 creature. It can block an additional creature each combat. It has a balm, so obviously if it does get killed, you can bring it back. It's a little more expensive to bring it back, but it's an option to play another creature card if you don't have any other options. I went with 4 copies of this guy, because I like the idea of him on the battlefield. If he's not been doing anything and they haven't killed him, he's just a 2/2. If you're against somebody that's heavy on creatures, you can block 2 of them. Obviously, if they're, you know, trample, it almost doesn't matter, but it just depends. Plus, some of the other cards I have in this deck will boost his strength up, will make that beneficial to be for you blocking 2 creatures. So I like that guy as one of my options for creatures. I went with this chick, Vizier of Deferment, 3-drop creature. Human cleric has flash. Whenever it enters the battlefield, you may exile target creature if it attacked or blocked this turn.
Pretty sure that's Farah from Overwatch.
It probably is. I don't play the game, but I'm going to agree with you. Return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. So I went with this one, and I was reading it, and maybe I should have went with something else, but I like the different options you can use this for. So obviously one of them is if, like, you know, we had a situation earlier on a team game, and my teammate had a creature that when it comes in, you get a token, a treasure token. So he attacked with it, and I played this after it was all said and done. He put it, exiled, I brought it back in, got an extra treasure token. Next turn, he was able to slap down a big old monster card, and that pretty much sealed the game for us. So it works for that aspect amongst others. The blocking aspect of it too. So if your opponent,
you can also play your Trueheart Duelist, block 2 of their creatures as long as they don't have trample, and then flash this in. Exile this, their creatures are still blocked, and it comes back.
Yeah, that's kind of why that combo, when I first saw it, I was like, I kind of like that. And that's the intent, is that's one of 2 ways to do it. And if they're swinging heavy, 3 creatures at you, they're swinging, you flash this in, you exile one of them, block with this, you have 2 of them taken care of, at least for that turn. You may not keep your creature, but it just depends, all the scenario that you have based on what you have in your hand and what's on the field. So I went with 3 copies of her. I started with 4, but I decreased it because I wanted to go a different route with that. So I went with 3 of her. Next one up is pretty popular one, apparently, because I couldn't find any at the stores.
I didn't buy them. Don't get mad at me.
I was yelling and complaining. So Kinjali's Sunwing, pretty good rare Ixalan card, 3-drop, flying, 2/3 creature, and it says creatures your opponents control on the battlefield tapped. So not as effective as Thor of the Consoles because of the whole life gain, but it's pretty effective nonetheless, and it's a flying creature. So one of that, because that helps slow down your opponent a little bit, and it's a flying creature, and everybody hates getting attacked with flying creatures. So I went with 4 copies of Kinjali's Sunwing, and big boy, I added this, an older card from a set that's going to fall away in 6 months. Ridge-Scaled Tusker, 5-drop, and whenever it enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on each other creature you control. So it's a 5/5 creature. So obviously it takes 5 to play him, but if you have some of these creatures out here, plus what I'm going to get into next, gives you more creatures on the battlefield.
You've been playing this wrong.
Have I?
You've been putting 1/1 counters on this for each creature you control. It's put a 1/1 counter on each other creature you control.
That is probably why I've been doing it wrong. Either way, it still works, folks. Now, I thought it said
5/9.
Yeah, it wouldn't have mattered. You would have walked the planket anyway. But either way, that's my bad. I sometimes when I read stuff, I go through it a little quick, and I thought I saw it counter for each other creature you control, not on each other creature. But okay, either way, this is still a decent card. It's going to pump your creatures up a 1/1 that's out on the field. So granted, that might have been why this is a little bit different to play. But hey, whatever. It's still a good card. I screwed that up. No big deal. Shit happens. Moving on. So there's my creature set for this deck. And next thing, which is also going to increase the creatures, the Cartouche of Solidarity, which I'm sure you've seen this in a lot of different decks, but it's a green and white base. I could have went with other colors, but since the main card of focus was green white, I just went with green white. 1-drop, enchant creature control. When you play this card, it comes with a 1/1 warrior token with vigilance, and the creature that you enchant gets a +1/+1 to first strike. So that's always a plus. You get multiple things from that, and it's a 1-drop. So the thing to combo with that, and it's going to go out of mana sequence, but it's Trial of Strength. It's the trial, obviously, that you play a Cartouche, trial comes in, or it comes back to your hand. So when you play this, you put a 4/2 beast creature on the battlefield. So if you have just enough mana you put this on the battlefield, get your 4/2, play your Cartouche. It's now a 5/3, then you pull it back out, and you can play Trial of Strength for the next turn. Yeah, give me a minute. So that's how that works on that one. That was just a good combo that I thought makes sense. There's more creatures that come with that. So obviously, playing the Ridge-Scaled Tusker and having all those creatures out there doesn't get a bunch of counters, but everything else gets a 1/1 counter. So that's my error, but screw it, we'll figure it out. And to help with the blocking aspect, I have 2 other cards. To help with Prepare. This one is the same concept. It's a 1-drop, but you don't get the 1/2/2 and the lifelink. But in essence, it's similar. You untap a target creature, prevent all damage that would be dealt to this turn. So if I happen to swing with a Trueheart Duelist or whatever, and I play that, I can untap it, and I can still block 2 creatures, and my creature doesn't die.
And the nice thing about this one is, if you look at it, it's all damage, not just combat
Yes.
damage.
So it's if they want to put like they want to throw 4 lightning bolts on it or harness lightning, thinking they're going to kill one of your creatures, like you just play that. It's like no, not today. So it's a fun one, and I only put 3 copies of that. I don't think I told you how many copies. I put 4 copies of the Cartouche of Solidarity and 3 copies of the Trial of Strength. I got kind of sidetracked there, so I apologize. But 3 copies of Jiru's Resolve. Anybody can pronounce that better for me?
Jeru.
Jeru, yeah, you're probably right. I always forget some stuff silent.
Nailed it.
Jiru.
Jeru.
So I put 3 copies of that in there because that's a fun one. I like the way that works, and that's part of the whole defense, the whole double blocking from Trueheart Duelist, the Visor of Deferment, come in, get rid of a creature as it attacks, all that cool stuff. And then this one always just helps out. You can, if you need to get to a creature that's flying, but you don't have any flying, you throw that on there. You can block it, and maybe kill it. But Mighty Leap, 2-drop, target creature gets +2/+2 against flying until a turn. So I put 4 of those in there, and that can work in multiple different ways. And that doesn't have to be yours. If you're playing a team game, you can target your partner, whatever. So that helps out too. Same with Jiru's Resolve. You can target your partner if you need to protect his creature if he's going to block. So that's what I went with for all my playing card sets, or the cards that other than lands, non-land cards. So for my land count, I went ahead and went in with 4 Tranquil Expanse. You can obviously get the higher priced if you want to pay for the fast lands. And what is the fast land? Sunpetal Grove?
Sunpetal Grove, and then there's the
Scattered Groves is a cycle.
Scattered Grove is
It's
a cycling.
But if you need to do that, that's also an option as well. But I just did this. I went with the cheap version. So 4 copies of Tranquil Expanse, 10 copies of Plains, and 8 copies of Forest. And then I squeezed in 2 little Evolving Wilds just in case you need to snag a Forest or a Plains if you don't have one. Didn't want to get too heavy on that because you're already slow enough as it is with 4 slow lands. But 24 lands for this deck. Like he mentioned earlier, because I'm playing Ridgescale Tusker completely wrong, the deck has a little bit of a change to it now. Obviously, it's still a good card, but either way, this building a deck around Prepare to Fight was fun. I was able to get a couple good combos, and I liked the way it played, and it's played pretty well. I mean, obviously minus the crappy playing Ridgescale Tusker completely wrong. My apologies. I'm not a professional here, okay? Either way, it was still fun and it worked out. So this is something if anybody wants to use a deck setup like this to take what we have. It's on tapped out. I need to actually open it up to the public. It's only private right now, but I'll open it up tonight so that you can take a look at it and play it a couple times if you want to.
Did you see how much it was running for the deck?
No, but
I'm sure this is
it's
budget.
less than $20. I
Yeah,
think.
this is probably a real cheap
It's
deck.
a pretty cheap deck. Nothing too crazy going above and beyond on value. But yeah, if you want to enjoy some when you like them, you might want to snag them up because I went to 2 game stores looking for them to get my set, and they didn't have any. 2 of
I
them.
mean, you played me yesterday against one of my best decks and did fine, so...
Minus the Ridgescale Tusker cheat mode.
Yeah, you did kind of cheat, but we'll skip that. I don't know that having him with 3 counters on him would have been any different than having 1 counters on everything else you had out there. So
Yeah.
I think it's a good deck. I mean,
Yeah.
you did all right. So
I like it, and I'll keep messing around playing with it a few times just because it's fun.
hit us up in the comments. Let us know what kind of changes you might make. Obviously, like we said, this is a budget deck, so you don't want to throw in too much that's... we didn't want to throw in too much that was like expensive stuff because we wanted to keep this one pretty budget. Some of the other decks we've done have been, up above $100. So this one, almost anybody could go and pick this deck up if they like it. But let us know what changes you might make, and
And a lot of reason for us not
What
getting
you
too
think of
high
it.
on some of these deck prices when we build them is that we want to play them against our coworkers to get a good real feel of them. You can't get a feel of them too much when they're on tapped out and other stuff, and if we don't get all the cards, then we don't really get to play them out. So, but hey, it is what it is. Hope you like this one. We're getting ready to draw our next one.
after this, we're going to be making some changes to our random card deck tech. So this will be the last week that we do a random standard card. After that, we're going to switch to
Focus on strictly Dominaria.
Well, during each set, like while Dominaria is the newest set, until the 2019 core set comes out, which will be the next release, we're only going to do Dominaria rares and mythics. So we'll be able to build around what's current now, and then when core set 2019 comes out, we will build around those cards until the next set, which I don't know what the next one is after that. So, but this will be the last one that is any standard card. So we got Wildfire Eternal.
Should have known we get something that we've. I mean, I've got a deck slightly built around this, but it's not the best.
Wildfire Eternal is a 4-drop, 1/4 with Afflict 4. Whenever it attacks and isn't blocked, you can cast an instant or sorcery spell from your hand without paying its mana cost.
That can get mean.
So there are some very expensive, 7 and 8 drop instant and sorcery spells. Or if you want to take an extra turn, I know that I think there's a blue spell that you can cast to take an extra turn. Maybe I'm thinking of a Dominaria card. Anyway, Wildfire Eternal will be next week's deck tech, so if you've got any ideas, make sure you leave them in the comments below. If we use your idea, we'll give you a shout out in the video next week when we do our deck tech.
Yep, sure will.
And then we got a few days yet, but our next top picks video, we did a poll on Twitter, and we got the results back. As you can see here, Dominaria cards took the
lead.
The poll with 43% of the vote. So we'll be going over our top picks for Dominaria cards before they come out. So that'll be good timing on that one. You got anything else?
I'm good, man.
All right, that's it for this one. Check us out next time. Make sure you leave comments in the comment section below. There's a link at the bottom of the video there for this deck on Tapped Out. And I'm also going to put a link on there for our Twitter account. So if you want to follow us on Twitter, click the link, click that follow button, and make sure you turn on notifications on both so you can see when we post new stuff.
All right, catch you on the next video.
Deuces.